Roberta.
Hi.
Okay, yeah, why don't we start? Okay, so this is the March meeting, another hybrid meeting, off to a slow start. We have several speakers. Our tax commissioner, Ann Gannon, is here live. So I'm going to have her sit down and, well, actually, first, just a couple of announcements. There's not a lot of people on, but everybody that has requested a vote by mail ballot, raise your hand. Okay. I didn't want to embarrass people who hadn't by asking them to raise their hands. If you didn't raise your hand, you need to go out and do it right away. It takes about 30 seconds to go out to the supervisor of election website, which is Palm Beach. Hang on. You can, for those like me that haven't memorized it, you can see it in the Delray Democrat. Vote by mail at votepalmbeach.gov is the email, and votepalmbeach.gov, you go to my status, and you plug in your name and you say you want a vote by mail ballot. We're going to talk a little tonight, and we did last meeting, about getting out more into the community. There are some, there's a food bank that is next Friday. I'll do a screen share. I think I did send out to members in the latest round a copy of it. Shar, if you want to give them out. The other thing that I just got today that I did send around, and I've been really looking to find out more information about this. I called Desmond Meade at the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition to find out what's going on with the Amendment 4. I mean, we had a flurry of activity before the court case, and now we have 1 million or more returning citizens that are in need of getting registered again. And the League of Women Voters is having a community conversation in Gaines Park next Wednesday, but it's also being broadcast Facebook Live. So you'll be able to stay home and find out what is going on. In terms of finding out what's going on, I heard from Mark Schneider today that the Immokalee workers finished a 5-day march up in Palm Beach County. And I didn't know about it. And nobody from the Democratic Party was there except for Lois Frankel. And good for her that she was there marching with them. So that's all my introduction. I want to see if Ann Gannon has some words to. Ann, do you want to come and do a spiel now, or you can just sit down where I was?
Oh, I don't want to sit down. I sit down all day.
All right. Well, then you have to be in front of this, otherwise.
Then we got a problem because I'm a little tall.
Yeah.
So let's fix it.
There you go. You can move that around.
Can you all see me?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, right.
Mike emailed me and asked me if I'd come tonight, and I said, yes, I'd love to come. I'm in a private club meeting. It used to be downtown, which is right around the corner from my house, but The message that I wanted to deliver tonight, a couple messages. And if you have questions about my office, I'll be glad to answer them, but I don't think that's why I'm here. We got to get off our butts.
Yeah.
Because the Republicans are having meetings, right? They had one the other night talking about how they're going to take out all the Democrats in the next election because they have a strategy that if DeSantis runs for president, they believe they can take all of it out. Every Democrat in this county. So we need, first of all, to work on getting those absentee ballot requests done. But the second thing, and our county chair, Mindy, has done an analysis of all the precincts where we have precinct captains in this county. And I will tell you, there are some precincts that had 30% turnout. That's embarrassing.
Mhm.
And that's why we lost. We can't depend on other people to make the calls and turn out our votes in precincts. It's the most important thing we can do. And I have to say, I didn't make enough calls either. But I will tell you, I'm gonna walk my precinct again, and I haven't done it for like 2 years. Although I haven't looked at the new lines we have either, but I typically go out and walk my area I live in and then finish my precinct. Every one of us, and I know you all can't walk, but you can go to your pools, you can talk to people, you can make sure they fill out the absentee ballot. I brought all of Delray Beach, people that need to re-up their absentee ballot, and these are all not full pages, so don't have heart attacks. Some of them have 1 or 2 names on the paper. Because I think, I don't know about you all, but I'm a paper person. And so you can help by, you can split these up based on like, this is Homewood Boulevard, even numbers, mean it's on the right side of the street. The odd numbers are on the left side. It's easily walkable, but I would not suggest any of you do it once it gets to be June. You know these people, you can divide these precincts up. I don't know which precincts you work in, but that would be helpful because our job, and I did talk to the SOE today, Wendy Link, and January 1st in her newsletter, she's going to send out a link so you can get your absentee ballot. We're going to start doing that in our newsletter every month to send the link out so people can get it. Because as you know, this last election in Delray, we had a 10% turnout. It was embarrassing. And it was probably the most critical election that we'll have in the next 10 years in this city because it's basically a change in the leadership. There were 2 bond issues on the ballot, and we just didn't turn our votes out. And I think part of it was it got to be such an ugly campaign. And I didn't get much of the ugly stuff because I voted early. And once you vote early, you're off their list because they're not going to mail to you. But I did get emails and stuff because I knew who I was voting for. No, I'm not telling you who I voted.
Especially since it was ugly. Yeah.
Yes, it was way too ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My Aunt Marion Kulick, David's
Marion.
mom, she was my aunt and his mother, told us long ago, stay out of city politics. And every time we have waded in, we regretted it. Yeah.
And in fact, I think we all learned when what's her name ran and turned out to be one of the Donald Trumpettes.
Yeah, right. When
Yeah.
Shelley ran
Yeah.
against, well, that was So,
Well, and we all learned a lesson in that.
yeah.
It won't ever happen again with Democrats.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So-
The list you have, is that for the city of Delray?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
The whole city.
Yeah.
Where
So-
you live.
Where in Kings Point, we have the 4 precincts.
You would have to go to your,
Oh, I know.
your leader
Yeah.
to do that,
So,
your precinct leader, but they are reviewing the turnout and there are going to be some people replaced. Because if you want to be a precinct leader and you can't do your work and make that commitment to do it twice a year or 3 times a year to ensure that Democrats turn out to vote, then we need to find somebody else to work. And that's what the team is working on, doing that, finding other people. And as you know, if you don't attend a DEC meeting over 3 meetings, you are not a member. any longer. And I think there are letters being written to people who have not attended. And, I've heard some negatives and some positives about that. But when you take a look at the people who didn't do the work in their precinct and don't come to meetings, there's a connection. There's a big connection. As Democrats, we can't afford that anymore. We now have in our county, 94,000 more Democrats, but every single day we have more Republicans moving in the county, out in the western part of the community. So maybe we could just stop at New York and do the New York. But I'm telling you, we have got to get more people involved, and you can do this work at your house. You can call these people. And remind them.
Yeah, the virtual phone banks are great.
Yeah, they are.
You don't have to get in a room with everybody anymore. You do it when you have a minute.
You can eat pizza like
I did
that.
at least 5 or 10 myself.
Phone calls, not sessions. Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
phone
yeah.
banks, you can just get it from the van. Go
Yeah.
and pick your precinct up and get the
Right.
numbers. And
Right, or no, we can circulate it too. I mean, we did
Yeah.
that, when you're in Massachusetts, you can be doing it.
Yeah, I've done it.
Yeah, and
yeah, I have too.
Who writes scripts for the phone bank? We
So-
do.
Yeah,
Ours.
well, that's good.
Right.
I would like pass that by the chair or the vice chair or something like that, just
So
to
the
make.
FA is not writing the scripts.
They are.
The Democrat, the FDP isn't writing scripts.
No, they-
and
the
Palm Beach
FD
County is-
but they were,
Here, we'll write some of the script.
We said
Yeah.
party here, what do you mean by here?
The chair and the
Oh,
the
the
DEC,
chair.
the DEC.
They'll write-
the
they'll
DEC.
write down. They'll write,
Palm Beach County.
Beach County is writing scripts.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
that's all right.
Yeah.
But, what you're doing is, I don't know, you could be doing different kinds of phone banks. You could be IDing voters for different candidates. You could be working for a candidate. You could be making calls for the president. Yeah,
In progress.
All right, our first speak, someone,
The right way to do phone banking, and I've done a lot of it back in Massachusetts, is to organize a script as to what it is you hope to accomplish with your phone bank.
Yeah.
Not leave it out to what you might be calling to get one elected or this and that.
But-
You-
oh, that's what every one of the phone banks comes with a script.
Right.
I write the scripts, or Sharon and I write the scripts, or Sharon, David and I write the scripts for our precinct,
What do you, what are the criteria that you're using to write?
well, it sounds
It
like
could-
you have some experience, so
I do.
why don't you talk to him after? Why don't you head up that committee?
Michael and I will be happy to work together.
yeah, it varies. It varies
Well,
because
yeah,
you're at different times in the electoral season,
But it's
Yeah.
not the objective.
so,
It's gotta
yeah.
Start with what you hope to achieve. The why is the very first question you ask.
Well, the why would be, I'm gonna identify voters, so I can
That's the
tell.
one.
Yes,
That's,
right,
and if
but
that's,
then
if
there
you're
are
identifying
others,
voters for GOTV effort.
right,
Are you
exactly.
familiar with GOTV?
You know what,
Well,
actually,
I've never done that.
hang on, can, the people that are on Zoom, you can't see Steve talking, can you hear him?
Yes,
Okay,
not too much.
all right,
Steve
yeah,
has just agreed to work with your chair to
Yeah.
develop the scripts for the phone bank.
so, okay,
Sounds like you're very good at it.
I spent 10 years in the Massachusetts Democratic State Committee as chair of the committee that educated candidates and staff, and as a chair of the committee that dealt with all of the local organizations, in the state. I have a little experience. I owned an advertising agency for 35 years.
Good
and
for you,
200 campaigns with a 70% win record.
good for you,
I've got a little experience.
good for you, yes, sir.
Right now, too many of us are unaware of the fact that we have to re-register,
It's been all over.
and that has to be
The
prioritized.
mail.
yeah,
It's been
Yeah.
all over.
Yeah.
The SOE has sent it
Yeah.
out. My office puts it in our newsletter. If you haven't signed up for our newsletter, you need to do that. Go to our website. You'll get a monthly newsletter with tax tips and stuff. You even got a story about my kitty this month.
yeah.
On Monday in Kings Point, and it was advertised, that there'd be people there to sign people up to re-register for vote by mail. And during that 3 hour period,
Person came.
one person showed.
Yeah,
You have to reach out to them.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Can't,
Yeah.
Meetings every month we'll
Yeah.
have.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
That-
That's what we need to see happen.
right.
We gotta get busy again
Yeah.
and start working.
We
have a link
to your website?
Yes, pdctax.com.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you just go
Yeah.
on the website. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd suggest for you to sign up for absentee ballots, it's better for you to go to the SOE website.
So,
I'm just curious about your newsletter.
Michael?
yes,
Hi, Mike, it's Joan.
hey, Joan.
Hi. Hi,
Hi.
Ann. I just would like to remind everybody that our club, the Boynton Club, we have people set up 3 days a week so far. We'd love you to help us out at the Hagen Ranch Library and at the East Boynton Library. And today I got a message from one of our volunteers. In 2 hours, 26 people signed up for vote by mail and 4 people registered to vote. That's pretty good. So 3 days a week, but we need some more volunteers. I'm going to put my email address on the chat. We're so close together, the Delray Club, the Boynton Beach Club, we can all work together and get this done. I just came from the state senior council meeting with John Bauman. And what the speaker was Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett from the Virgin Islands, who's tremendous. And she reminded us that during the last gubernatorial election, if 65% of the registered Black voters had voted, our current governor would not be in office. So this is in line with what Ann was saying. We have to get out there, knock on doors, and do everything we can and really get everybody all hyped up. So thank you all.
Thank you, Joan. Jeff, for people that don't know, you can't see Joan, but Joan Katz is the president
Yes.
of the Greater Boynton Club, and it is an absolutely amazing club. They meet the first Monday of every month?
Yes, as a matter of fact, our next meeting, which is April 3rd, I think it is, we have a forum on education. Our moderator is Karen Brill, and we have a couple of about 2-3 other speakers as well. So you're welcome to all join us. Thank you. And thanks, Mike. This is a great meeting. Thank you.
Something to Joan. Joan is Janet Wyback from the Kings Point Club. Hi.
Hi, Janet.
Has Betsy gotten in touch with you about getting the word out to your members about our meeting next month? Fred got.
Yes, yes, I speak to her on a regular basis. Thank you. We'll spread the word.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Let me also say that if you show up as Delray citizen and ask my office if you can put a table outside of our Green Acres office, our office in Delray, you can register voters. Just don't come in as the Democratic Club.
Right, right.
Okay.
I don't want the Republican club there.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
So, but we've traditionally had the League of Women Voters there all the time, and I don't know what's happened to them.
They were having a lot of, I mean, I'm a member and I am an active member up north, but they are having like really interesting monthly meetings.
Right.
With speakers and stuff like that. I was thinking they'd be the person to be registered voters.
Yeah, they're gonna help us out too.
Why don't you
Yeah.
ask them why they're not at our offices registering voters? You just have to fill out a form, and we give you permission to do it. Now, the county offices, the one in Delray and the one, well, we're getting out in Belgrade, you have to go to the county, but we can, you just need to fill the form out and we'll help you do that. But yeah, we need to do that, set that up again. And I can share with you that we're in the process of negotiating with the property owner out in West Atlantic to build a new office out there, move out of the office.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
well, we don't.
Yeah.
We need more employees and we have no ability to hire in this building.
All right,
Yeah.
we can get to the.
It'll be and if you haven't seen our newer offices, we completed one of them in Westlake is out on Southern Boulevard. We closed our Royal Palm Beach office. We completed one in Green Acres. That was the first building that we built, and we're now in the process of completing one in PTA, a new building. We have to, when I got elected, this county was 700,000 people, now it's 1.7 million.
Yeah,
So we have to look to the future. And the buildings we're building, they'll last 30 years.
Okay,
Because we have the capacity to have 40 or 45 employees. in it.
that's right.
I won't be here, but somebody will.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay,
Does anybody have any questions?
Well, I don't have it's not in regards to voting by mail, but, I was talking to this gal, she does our pedicures, she's from Colombia, American citizen now. She, and her husband are involved in helping immigrants come into the country. She's scared to death because she's afraid if she does anything anti-Hispanic, that they will ship her back to Colombia, which I don't believe they can do
She's
because
a
she's an
citizen.
American citizen.
Yeah.
But what I thought for, when we're in the Hispanic community, we need some kind of a card that says why DeSantis is so dangerous in Spanish, so that, you know, we can.
Well, I
Is there
brought
anything
mine
else?
some stuff about all the bills he voted against in
Yeah.
Congress and what's going to the legislature that he's
Is
supporting.
it, can we get somebody to translate it into Spanish?
There's somebody around.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can
Yeah,
get her
her to do it, yeah, it's
You
just
could
that-
get her to do it.
Yeah.
But make sure, I did that one year on one of my campaigns. I wrote a letter in Spanish in the morning after the election. This guy knocked on my door and he said, I think you need some help with your Spanish translation. But I'm telling you, we used a Hispanic person, so
Yeah.
Colombian, Guatemalan, they all speak Spanish differently.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of funny.
Americans speak English differently.
I know. I agree. They wanted me to pay him $500.
so, okay, we have a couple of speakers, that are coming in virtually, so,
I'll sit and listen to you for a while.
let's, Varisa Laldas, is a commissioner. I'm gonna actually, let me, highlight her. Oh, a speaker, okay. So she's a lawyer, a young Democrat, and I guess, seat number 2 or something number 2 at the Court of Palm Beach County, which I know nothing about, and she's going to tell us a little about. So if you want, there we go. Okay.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for having me. I was on my way there and then I Googled it and it said it was going to be 30 minutes. I'm in downtown West Palm, so I just wanted to make sure that I got on. But my name is Varisa Laldas. I'm the new Port Commissioner for District 2. I just wanted to give you guys some quick port. Well, a lot of people don't realize the importance of the port. I'll be very brief, but we are a huge economic generator and job generator for the county. We employ about 5,000 people directly and indirectly. We're in Riviera, which is a place where the need for job creation is very much needed. And that's one of the things that I'm very dedicated to. I wanted to give you some, and another thing people don't realize is that the materials that we need to build our community, a lot of those materials are secured at the port. So the asphalt that we need for roadways and infrastructure, and the cement that we need for all of the development and the housing, you know, because we have a housing issue right now. That cement is, a lot of it comes from our port locally. So it's very important that we're making sure that we have those resources at the port to help ensure that our community can be built. So it's a very important part of the community. It all starts at the port. All development starts at the port. So I just wanted to give you some quick updates. We just passed a paid internship program, which I'm very excited about. Applicants must be at least 18 years old, and we'll start accepting applications on April 3rd. The applicants who are selected will get experience. They have the opportunity to intern in marketing, IT, or marketing, IT, or accounting. And there's also different opportunities for them if they express an interest in learning about those operations at the port. But they can get college credit for it, and they will be paid $13 an hour. So I know Delray is not in the Port District, but if you guys know anyone that may be interested, we would love to have you apply, or have that individual apply. They can get that information on the port website. We also, or contact me. I would be very happy to. I'm very excited about this program. I just want jobs for our young people. We just got back from Tallahassee, where we submitted some appropriations requests that we're hoping we'll be able to secure. They were mostly items related to transitioning some of our current technology as we try to move towards making the port green, which is a very important thing to us as Democrats as well. And we also submitted a request for some additional land, which would increase our revenue so that we can continue to be self-sustaining and never even have the need to consider levying taxes, because none of us are on board with doing that at all. Yeah, so those are pretty much we're looking at tour packages too. Now, this could affect Delray. When individuals come to visit Margaritaville, our cruise line, we are looking at putting together tour packages where they would get information about events and hotels and restaurants in the surrounding communities. You know, Delray is booming, so I'm sure that would be beneficial. I'm sure, you know, and also we would be kind of sharing our opportunities at the port, because then it would be stimulating the local economy in Delray and other places. If you guys have any questions, you know, please feel free to reach out to me. Please friend me on Facebook. I would love to hear from all of you. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm very excited about getting to be part of this caucus. I read your wonderful newsletter, and thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. That's great. Yeah. No, I'm so pleased. I hadn't realized until we spoke the other night that you got appointed to that seat. And we're going to have to see that we get you reelected. You
know, it's incredibly discouraging, because I was talking to a consultant today who told me, you know, the Republicans are trying to take every single, they're going to run for every single seat that we have. And the port is the bellwether. Okay, we're like a D10, D20 district, so it's always been held by a Democrat. And the fact that we were 1 point away from losing that port seat in 2022, that says a lot about all of the other races. Because if we were that close, that means that there was, I'm sorry, but a massacre. That's what that means. So it's really symbolic that we keep the port in Democratic hands.
right. Well, that actually leads into what I thought was going to be the opening of this meeting, and it was the subject of our last meeting, which is getting out in the community, you know, and there is a lot of cynicism and apathy, especially in underserved communities. Anne was saying before, you know, people get out, but when they get out twice every other year, and they get out and they say, vote for us, it doesn't really go over well in one of the precincts that I'm co-chair of is a principally Haitian American. And I had a guy run up to me last year, and we're there fairly often, and Shar walks it a lot. She knows a lot of people there, but still this guy ran up to me and said, you know, why should I be a Democrat? You know, I've been a Democrat all my life. You don't do anything for us, you know. And I tried to tell him what but the fact is, when in so often they don't see us, and when they see us, we're asking for their vote instead of community and asking, you know, what to help, or you know what their needs are, or whatever. So we had a meeting last month, and we had a speaker who runs a program, Gateway to Housing, and next Friday they are having a food bank giveaway at the beginning of that. And I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do there. I mean, we're going to stand around like thumbs handing out, but we're at least seen in that community that we want to try to do something to help. So
Yeah.
I had asked our state committee woman, Maria Cole, I don't know if she's on, yeah, there she is. Hi, Maria. If a lot of people in this room probably don't know what a state committee man or committee woman does or who they are. And Maria's been ours since 2020. And I thought she could both talk about that and, you know, she is very much into the community and, you know, can tell us what more we can be doing. So,
Thank you, Michael. Hi, everybody. Hi, Varisa. I'm actually gonna try to connect with you because I know a lot of people that that could benefit by that internship, especially locally around Riviera Beach, which is where I do a lot of community work. But I also think it's really important that people know what, especially in the port area, that people know what the port does, right? And how that partnership actually works. You know, I think you did a great job of explaining it tonight. But I don't think that we have a lot of opportunities in community to connect and know what the benefits are, the mutual benefit is of the port with, and that relationship is with communities a lot of times. So I'm going to reach out to you because I think that there's a lot of partnership that we can do in terms of like getting that message out. And
Did we all freeze or did she freeze?
yeah, she froze.
Okay. We lost that, Marie.
I hear you, but I don't see you.
Okay, you're back.
I can hear you now. So you're back and I can see you.
Okay. Okay.
There we go.
Okay. So.
All right. Well, we've now lost Maria.
Well, she'll be back on in a second.
Was she on her phone or her computer?
No, I think her computer, that's
When she comes in, we will put her
right. So meanwhile, and she's going to touch on this also. What we were going to make the focus of this meeting was David's idea, which I think is just brilliant, of a contract with Florida. You know, I mean, Newt Gingrich is a parahuman, but he was very effective at flipping. I mean, I went back and looked at the numbers. Republicans were almost in as bad shape in Congress, in both the Senate and the House, as Democrats are today in Tallahassee. And he turned it around in 1994 with his contract for America. David originally had contact
on
America, more like a contract on America. But Maria, no,
I'm kind of struggling today.
yeah, Maria's back. Okay. Okay,
she's back.
all right. I can see you, Maria, but not.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I apologize. I don't know what happened to my connection, but one of the things that I do as state committee woman is represent Palm Beach County at the state Florida Democratic Party level. And what that means essentially, one of the examples of that I can like tangibly give is the recent vote for the election we had of a state party chair. As many of you know, after the election in 2022, Manny Diaz stepped down, and we then had to elect a new party chair to serve out the remainder of his term. And so I represented half of our vote. So we have every county DEC is represented by 2 representatives, 1 male and 1 female. And so I represented half of our vote as Palm Beach County to elect our new chair at the state level. So I'm also appointed to, was most recently reappointed to the Clubs and Caucuses Committee. So what that means to you as a club, a Delray Beach Democratic Club, is that when you guys come up for certification, which will be towards the end of this summer, I will come back here and explain to you the new certification process. You will be certified through our committee as a Democratic club once again, and that happens every 2 years. Some of the things that I heard this evening that I thought were really interesting. One of the things Varisa had mentioned is that the Republicans are definitely going to go after every single seat. More interesting, well, that's not more interesting, but to that point, I would say, is that Robert Weinroth, who was most recently a Democratic county commissioner, has refiled to run as a school board member to replace Frank Barbieri as a registered Republican. Even though that currently right now is a nonpartisan race, we all know that people look at the party that you're registered as, and there is a chance that under this governor that those seats can also become partisan races as well. One of my concerns, and I know that everyone is concerned, and someone had mentioned earlier tonight that if 65% of our African-American voters had voted that Ron DeSantis would not have won, one of my concerns is, number one, not fielding candidates, and number two, candidate quality. There were a number of races in 2022 where we did not, throughout the state, where we did not field candidates at all. And some that were not prepared to run for office and did not raise enough money to run for office. And that's very concerning. That means that they got into the race too late. And I'll say that in June of 22, the week of filing deadline, we started that week with 69 open seats, races where Republicans were running unopposed. Okay. By the end of that week, we did not close the gap by much. We only filled 13 of those 59 seats. So what does that mean? That means that Gail Harrell, who is my state senator here in the north end of the county, ran unopposed. The state senator for Martin County is a Republican, ran unopposed. The state senator for St. Lucie County is a Republican and ran unopposed. Not only do we have to do better at voter turnout, we have to do better at candidate quality, and we have to do a better job of candidate development, identifying people who want to run for office. And we literally should be identifying them now and working with them and cultivating them, preparing them, and preparing our communities. When I'm talking to Vanessa about what's on the horizon, it's not just so that people can understand the benefits that the port brings to the community, but also the benefit of having someone like Vanessa at the port. that should be, those are the kinds of things that we should be thinking about doing now and not waiting until what we call election season to be doing. So those are kinds of like the things that I'm thinking about when I think about like marrying that with Mr. Koenig's piece in your newsletter about the issues. Those issues have to be carried by us into community, and they have to be carried by candidates as well. One of the things that I work on outside of the party is I'm a very big advocate for public education, and I feel like that has been sort of like the epicenter of these culture wars. And it is also a place where we can have conversations with the community and bring the community into this engagement that is absolutely necessary to turn out voters. But we have to turn to community first before we can turn them into voters.
So Diane,
So I'm happy to take any questions if you have any.
I have one comment, and it's interesting. We had a meeting with people from the Kings Point Democratic Club around into the community more. And then someone said, you know, we've got to line up somebody to run against Rick Scott and do it now, you know, and that's to your point of not waiting. And it's funny because I said, what about that guy we heard at the DEC last year, Ken something, and everybody in the room had been there. I don't know if you remember him, Maria. It was a live meeting. His name is Ken Russell, and he was a
Ken Russell from Miami-Dade.
Exactly. And he spoke for like 5 minutes, and he knocked my socks off, and other people in the room. So I texted Terry. I got his number. I called him. He didn't call me back for 2 days, and I thought I scared him off with my message because I was so excited. And he just hadn't gotten the message, but he told me he hadn't gotten, and he's going to be our speaker next at the April meeting, and he's the kind of guy, you know, early 50s, late 40s, great speaker, great, you know, personal, and you marry that with it. When I told him about the contract with Florida, he said, "Oh, I could get behind that." You know, and that's I mean, we really suck at PR and messaging. But this is the kind of thing, the contract. I mean, who would be against expanding Medicaid? I mean, if it's explained to them properly, you know. What?
Republicans.
Well, Republicans. No, I mean, I'm talking about human beings.
What?
Anyway, are there questions for Maria, or we can move on?
Well, Michael, it's Joan. I just want to follow up on what Maria said. I think clubs are a great resource to attract potential candidates. And what you're doing is perfect, to invite them to the club meetings, have them get to know people and have people get to know them, people from our community. So I think we should take advantage of our clubs and be looking out for really talented people to be potential candidates. So thanks. Great suggestion, Maria.
Well, maybe we'll get Ken before your club. Yeah, you come and see what you think. Although you saw, Steve had a question.
Yes, Maria, the committee that you just said you were assigned to, the clubs and caucuses committee. What else does that committee do for the clubs and caucuses during the course of the year? I'm actually Massachusetts. I was chair of that committee for the state. I know what I did. I'm just wondering what you.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the last bit of that? Because I didn't hear it.
Yes, I'm asking you what the committee, the caucuses and chairs committee does for the caucuses and chairs throughout the state during the course of the year.
Okay,
Because that's the position that I had in Massachusetts at the Democratic State Committee, was chair of the committee. So I'm wondering what you're doing and how it contrasts with what we did.
okay, so the first thing that we did, it's interesting because the first year was gathering recertification packets from every single club across the state and caucus packets across the state. And then we went through the review process and certified various clubs and caucuses across the state. If there were any deficiencies, we had to address that. If there were any grievances, and we had several grievances levied from caucuses, why they weren't certified and things of that nature, or whatever bylaws violations or perceived bylaws violations, we had to have hearings and adjudicate those things. So those were some of the things that we did. After all of that and clubs were certified, we then spent time examining our process. And so what we did this past year, every 2 years now, you have to go through your recertification. What we spent the last year doing is making our process, streamlining our process more and making our process more digital, if you will, so that anyone who is in leadership in any club will know that we were asked to have you print paperwork, scan paperwork, upload paperwork, submit paperwork, all as one document. Now you don't have to do that. You upload documents digitally, and you almost, with the exception of 1 or 2 pieces, you don't have to print anything. Everything is digitized and accessible to members of the board, members of the committee. So that is what we've been doing. One of the things that I'm sorry. One of the things that I personally have been working on is I think that there should be a more outward facing component of every club. And I'll use Jones Club as an example. Jones Club has veteran, seasoned people who do voter registration, right? Every club should have a team of people who does some sort of outward facing effort in community engagement, whether that is voter registration, hosting community events or participating in community events, doing phone banking, canvassing, whatever it is, but it should be something in which that can be measured as part of their community engagement activity, if you will. So that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to us supporting as a statewide effort in terms of getting more engagement from everyday average registered Democrats that need to see us in community.
Do you have any kind of education or training program going on for local groups?
Education training programs for.
What I did in Massachusetts, we had a handbook for chairs that was about an inch thick that told them everything they need to know about being a chair. We had seminars throughout the state on how to run caucuses and how to run.
We have that. Yes, we do.
I'd like to move on. I see that Senator Bobby Powell is on.
Thank you, everybody. And hi, Senator Powell.
Maria, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody know if Val Demings is interested in Rick Scott's seat?
Yeah.
Hello?
We don't know.
We don't know.
Oh, okay.
Senator Powell, you're still standing, or you don't look too bruised, but I guess it can't have been fun this last week too.
This is what you get. You're gonna talk?
He looks like he is. Yeah,
It looks like I wasn't, so can you hear me?
yeah, can hear you now. Hey,
First of all,
talking back.
I don't know what's going on my phone, so I can't see everybody. And I don't see anybody now. Can y'all still see me?
We can see you.
Okay, I can't see y'all, but in essence, I want to thank y'all for giving me an opportunity. We just got off the floor like almost a second ago, and we're finished with session for this week. We dealt with a few pieces of legislation that were not good. Anybody that's an attorney, we just dealt with tort reform. It passed off the Senate floor, and it did pass off the Senate floor. We debated it today, and it passed on party lines. We also did the school voucher bill, which will make it eligible, a $650 million pass through for private schools, for every student who goes to a private school to be eligible for vouchers, including students who are already at private schools, a voucher to the tune of $8,000. The average cost of a private school in Palm Beach County, $10,900. So it'll be an $8,000, basically a giveaway in Palm Beach County. I do a legislative update every week. We have one that's online right now on my YouTube page, and it was also sent out on my email blast that should come to people. If you want it and you don't get it, send me an email at powell.bobby@flsenate.gov, and we will add you to our legislative update list that it goes out to. We are in the 3rd week of session. Next week is the 4th week of session. We've got 9 weeks of this foolishness, and there's no shortage of bad pieces of legislation that we're seeing. We're seeing the elimination of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're seeing vouchers. We're seeing tort reform. We're seeing constitutional carry, meaning that people can carry concealed weapons without a permit. We are seeing a 6-week abortion ban. If you name it, it's coming through the pipeline, and that's courtesy of our very own governor. You all know his name, Run Dishonest. And with that being said, I will take a few questions. Don't have a lot of time because I'll be running in and out. I got an 8 o'clock appointment, but I'm here to just catch up. Thank y'all for the invite. It's been a heck of a week.
Yeah.
A heck of a week, but we're here. I see Port Commissioner Varisa online. Thank you for being here, and thank you for recently coming up to Tallahassee to visit with us. I think you might have sent me a text. I have been, if I didn't respond, I might have responded. I don't know, because I'm letting you know I did see it if I didn't. But we've been in meetings and dealing with legislation and reading bills. It has been intense, very intense. But you know what I can tell you all is you have a good senator who is connected, who will read the legislation, who is going to work. I'm working with my 2 colleagues, Senator Berman and Senator Polsky. We are the ones that work together to get things done for Palm Beach County.
Thank you so much, Senator. I just want to point out quickly that Senator Powell is the one who's sponsoring that bill that I was talking about earlier that would help us in our initiative to help the port go greener. So thank you so much for doing that.
I didn't hear, Senator Powell, whether you mentioned the bill that is going to require bloggers to register the state. I mean, it's kind of like well, the 6-week it's kind of like the 15-week abortion ban in Mississippi, where they're daring they're passing a law that's unconstitutional, and they're doing it because they're hoping that it gets to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will overrule some 50-year-old precedent like Times v. Sullivan.
And that's the goal. You would think that courts are supposed to be reasonable. Well, remember, many of the people that were appointed to the Supreme Court here in the state of Florida were appointed by Governor Rick Scott. And on top of that, he's getting ready to appoint a new person because Ricky Poston has also turned in his resignation. So I said, Governor Rick Scott, governor dishonest.
Yeah.
And he's going to get an opportunity to appoint another one. And that language, you're right, is correct. And basically, if you write blogs or anything negative about the governor, you could be, and you're not registered to write, or
Yeah.
even if you are, you could face fines and punishment, which is a direct assault on the First Amendment. They call this the freest state in the nation, yet they place all these restrictions on people. It's kind of interesting that people will go along with it and say, yes, this is the freest state in the nation. While meanwhile, we're banning books, we're allowing voucher education. There was a bill on the floor today that restricts unions and suppresses unions and makes unions have to have 60% of membership in order to continue to operate. It just, they're doing a lot here. And it's basically being done because they can. The insurance bailout that this tort reform bill is, in a nutshell, the constitutional carry legislation, there's no shortage of horrible, horrendous stuff happening here this year.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, we to 2024, we've got to turn this around. And one way to do it is, as Maria was saying, fielding candidates, better candidates, and also messaging. I mean, if the people of Florida really, a lot of the people don't know, who they, that they're voting against their own interests. You know,
Correct.
they are, but you know, he gets them riled up on all kinds of cultural wars, and then they go out and vote, you know, against their economic interests, against their very lives. I mean, people are dying in Florida because they can't afford insurance, and they could be covered under Medicaid if they would roll out Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act, and they don't. And people vote for DeSantis and vote for Republicans who are preventing them from getting health care. And
Correct.
they just don't know it because we're
Well,
not getting that message across.
let me say this because I don't have a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
Maria Cole is one of the most brilliant and hardest working people I know. And I say that because I've seen and witnessed and watched her do the work, not just today. She has been consistent over the years. And if there were anybody who I would lean on in terms of helping us recruit candidates, Maria's that person. One thing I can tell you is we've got to start looking at people not to just run for elected office. We have to do like our counterparts. We have to get people to sit on certain boards, library advisory boards, planning and zoning boards, arts and cultural boards. That way they start to meet people inside of the community. And when it comes time to run for office, they can raise money. It's time out for the days where people who have not served on any board, who have not served the public interest, who have not been a part of the community, continue to jump out here and start running for office and telling you the things that they've done when they haven't really built a resume. And we as Democrats deserve better. And we deserve people who are thoughtful and thinking about the future. And by serving on boards, we get a chance and they get a chance to learn who we are and what is required to be in office. And that's very, very, very important.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, thank you very much for your time, Senator. And good luck. I don't, you know, that's all.
Well, thank y'all. I'm still sitting in my office. I'm going to get ready to leave out of here and prepare for tomorrow and next week.
Okay. Have a good night.
Thank y'all.
Okay. So now, David, why don't you either take over, lead the, since you wrote it.
Well, okay, yeah, I'll sit over there because otherwise I
Yeah.
have to turn around the page.
And you can
you
either
have
read
tonight,
it or I have it on the screen if you want to post
Okay.
it. You want to share. Do a, I'm not set up to
No,
be
you
a.
are. I sent.
Okay.
I sent it
All
over
right,
before.
so share screen, I gotta open a file, and where is it?
Well, we can, okay.
Actually, we can just put the article up.
That's a rabbit. No.
Oh, wrong
Wrong
one.
episode.
Yeah, hold on.
Okay, well, let me start.
Yes, sir.
The thing was, we were sitting in this room talking about getting out in the community, how to handle the question of why are you a year or 2 years to ask for our vote? And one of the solutions is you go out more often and you help. And I'm reminded that Mike Caruso, somebody said, well, he's worked at a food bank. I'm like, so what? He votes against everything that helps but he was, so while I understand, going out in the community, so much we can do. We're not Mayor Daley, right? We can't give people board jobs. We can't. And one of the things was, why should I vote for Democrats? And how many times have people asked, well, we passed, Social Security a million years ago, we passed Medicare, we're still fighting for those things. But it just kind of said, well, why don't we make a list of the things that we actually would do if we were in power in Florida? What things would we do? And I thought back to Newt Gingrich's contract on America. They called it the contract for America, but it actually was pretty awful. And but it was extremely effective. This is what we're going to do. And so I started making a list of what should we do if we went into power. What can virtually all now the problem with any list is that the more things you put in it, the more things you're going to hit. Someone's going to say, well, I don't like that. Right. But and often one thing that the people don't like will overwhelm the things that people do like. So I started making a list of, and because Michael's been, harping a lot on the Medicaid expansion and why don't we do this, which will save, all these lives and save money in the process. And it's not done simply for, I'm gonna go grab my glasses because I can't see it. Because it's a political thing. We don't like Obamacare, so we're not going to do anything about it. Remember back when Obamacare, they're going to kill your grandparents.
Yeah.
You're going to have death panels.
Right.
And, all these horror stories, none of which came true. And once people started finding out what it is, they like it.
Yeah.
Now it's Obamacare. And
I call it Obamacare now. I never did before. It was an insult. And now we can.
Okay, so I came up with this list of things that I think most Democrats can support. And if we come out with this is what Democrats will do. This, when people ask, why are you asking us to vote for Democrats? Well, here's a list of things we're going to do. Expand Medicaid. Reverse the draconian abortion laws. And a perfect reasonable compromise is the original Supreme Court ruling. That you had to draw a line somewhere. Now, that may cause some people not to like it. Maybe there are some Democrats oppose abortion, but not too many. Common sense gun control measures. And the whole concept of affordable housing, right? Build affordable housing. Make it a policy. Now, there's money to do things. You can build decent housing that doesn't cost a fortune. I didn't add a number of things. Mass transit, which in Florida is a joke. I mean, if you ever see people standing there for a bus, I feel sorry for them in Florida. It's just
Visit Boston.
what?
You should visit Boston.
Oh, okay. I assume
It's much worse in Boston.
that's amazing because it's
Much worse.
I've heard that's actually a decent city, but no, I know, no. Okay. We start by mail as this insane thing that you can't check off on your, the envelope that I want to keep voting by mail. That you're going to have to go every year or so to say, yes, we want to vote. Yes, we want to vote by mail. restore the voting rights, period. Many countries allow you to vote from jail. Israel allows you to vote from jail. Maine, and who is the other one?
Vermont.
Maine and Vermont allow you to vote from jail. Right? You don't lose your citizen rights because you did something bad. Right? It's not automatic that you lose voting rights. You shouldn't have to fight to get them back. I mean, that's just a vestige of the Civil War. It's a vestige of civil rights laws. You put people in jail and you make it illegal to vote if you were in jail. I never understood the whole concept of states having the right to rule on federal. But, you know, that would be challenged under any reasonable call. The whole idea of, you know, the hurricane, you know, the one that hits everyone, not just poor people, but it's making us poor, is the property insurance, which is insane. What's happened in the last bunch of years is insane. There was a proposal to separate hurricane insurance from regular home insurance. Get a reasonable price on regular home insurance, and the state deals with the hurricane. Now, this is opposed by some insurance companies because they make a ton of money. Is this the end?
Yeah.
I did not put in a bunch of things that kind of, I was just jotting them down. And I didn't put in a bunch of things that occurred to me like 2 seconds later, right? Legalize pot.
Thank you.
All right. We have freedom, state of freedom. You know, legalize it. None of that. Do you know how many people I know who now have medical cards? Who, as far as I know, don't have anything wrong? Well, they do. It's insane that in a free state, adults can't smoke pot if they want. Sorry. Now this will get some opposition. There are some, you know, vouchers, right? Just support public education, right? Make our good enough. Now, you do lose some people on this who want their kids to go to private schools and religious schools because their public schools are so bad. And it's totally understandable, but the solution is to make the public schools better.
Pay the teachers for it.
Yeah, that works and it doesn't work, I think, on improve the quality of the schools. You know, have textbooks that, you know, actually do talk about Rosa Parks as actually a Black woman instead of they actually wrote that out of a textbook. Trying to explain Rosa Parks without mentioning that she's Black. How can you do this? But nonetheless, that's what they're trying to pass. And I just thought, well, why don't we just do it? You know, why don't we make this a contract for Florida?
Yeah.
And I mean, if anybody has any problems with any of these things, I will get a gun and I will shoot you. As is my rights as a Floridian. So that was actually going to be the entire meeting until a few more speakers signed on at the last minute. So what do you guys think? I mean, is it like the Florida contract for Florida? Let's go. This is what, because if we don't unify, if we don't come up with some reason that people should vote for Democrats, they're not going to vote for Democrats.
And you get in their face with this because as I said before, and then someone, I think you said well, Republicans aren't going to like it, but the NPAs, the average person, this is if you take all of the drama out of it, you know, and that's what they're very good at, scaring people and, you know, getting them riled up, and
Very good.
but you know,
Those trans people are coming for your bathroom.
yeah, we have you know, we have a resolution that if we have time we can talk about later, you know, which essentially said.
Well, is this?
Who's with us? Who's talking?
No.
I don't think they're talking
Unshare.
Wait a minute, I have to stop sharing the screen.
What they telling me is the black.
Wait, who? Oh, wait. Who's talking? Now I can see everybody, but I can't. Arlene has a hand up.
Hi. I just wanted to say the thing about the vouchers is so insidious. It's deluding low-income families into thinking they're sending their children to a better quality school if it's called private, when these things are in malls. They are not responsible to any standards. They have no curriculum. They use I don't know what they use. They can expel kids without reason. They can fire teachers. And within 2 years, the statistics was 81% of 69 of these. I might have the numbers reversed. This hour is hard for me to think. Have to return back to public education. So they've lost 2 years, and 2 generations are being dumbed down with what's going on with our state, with our legislator. It's pernicious. So I just wanted to add that. Thanks.
Okay, Steve has his hand up here.
Yes, you mentioned a few minutes ago that we have the responsibility of getting this message out. We are the Democratic Club of Delray Beach, an itty bitty part of the Florida Democratic Party.
That's right.
If we don't sell,
Most important.
excuse me, if we don't sell this program to Nikki, it's not going.
Oh, I know. Oh, I couldn't agree more.
I mean,
You know, I mean, and that's why we are doing this resolution. I sent off to the DEC, the Democratic Executive Council of Palm Beach County, which is bigger than us, but is still small within the state of Florida. It's one of the biggest DECs in Florida, but it has to go on to her. Yes, absolutely.
Are we voting a resolution tonight?
Yeah, I can put it up on the screen right now, and we can.
Resolution is separate from this bit, though. That's his resolution is the medicated.
No, I know,
Oh,
that's.
I'm talking about your program.
Oh,
I'm talking
okay.
about your contract on Florida.
For Florida.
Yeah.
Florida. It'll be on Florida.
With Florida. The original was with Florida. It was contract with America.
Okay.
So it's contract with Florida.
Contract's only good.
But no, yeah, I was talking about the resolution, because that's something that would be voted on. I mean, that's like a resolution.
Right.
This was more like a brainstorming session to see if there were things that people thought were a bad idea in there that would, you know, and things that could be added.
So it's starting points.
Yeah.
Basically, it's starting point.
Yeah.
And that's a good idea.
But you do wanna, I mean, it's effective putting it out in a formal kind of construct, and having people. That's why I said this guy Ken Russell, he's phenomenal. I mean, you'll see next month. He's a great speaker, and he understood the second I said contract. I'll get behind that, you know. But you know, as you said, that's not enough. We need to have the state chair get behind it. But she is somebody that likes getting in DeSantis's face. I mean, I may not agree with her on a variety, but she's feisty, you know. I mean, and that's we need to get in their face.
Michael, we are all Democrats, and if we don't stick together, we're gonna lose Florida.
Well, we have lost
Already
Florida.
losing
Yeah,
Florida,
I mean,
and
we are.
because we're fighting against each other, and we've got, this one is saying she supports Republicans, and this one is saying she said this and that. Hey, she's our chairperson now, damn it, we better stick behind her.
No, I know.
Or not.
Of course,
Michael,
of course. Yes, Jack.
just the thought, David, I thought your article was superb. I can't believe how often I read it. And I have people that follow me on Facebook, and I was talking about you and what you said and what you believe. Because I want the word to get out, but we need to, what we need to do. But we have to take not all the issues, but 4 or 5 of the most relevant ones. And we also have to bring back candidates who lost.
Well, now we're gonna have
but
to
are
fight over that.
talented.
Yeah.
What's that, David?
Now we're gonna have to fight over that.
Yeah,
Bring back candidates that were talented and creative that lost, to make sure that people in our state don't lose sight of who they are.
That's
Right.
right, that's thinking. We
Yeah.
just lost some people in the vote.
Yeah.
But Julie and, this,
So here, all the way in the back,
All the way in the back.
all the way in the back of the Zoom room,
Yeah.
the count room.
Over here.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever, listen to Alan Ellison speak? He spoke at one of the Women's March.
Oh, yes, I think
Exactly.
we helped him set up a tent, I think, or he brought a
Right,
tent.
right. Here's another one that lost a race. It's very dynamic, up and coming.
Where did he run?
Excuse me?
Where did he run?
I think from Jersey, what's his name? Who just retired?
Well,
Jared Moskowitz, you see, the one that he just won.
so is there more,
Yeah, right, but.
more discussion on David's thing? We could,
There's something in the chat.
oh, Roberta, right, we need to restore the freedom to free speech, access to all books and education. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we have to, I know somebody, David does too, Shar does too, because he lives in our community, or did, Ray Gershon, who was a superintendent of schools up in New York. He was actually a Republican before he moved to Florida, and he became a Democrat because, New York Republicans,
Yes.
Jacob
Yeah.
Javits Republicans, are not mad dogs. You might disagree with them, but and he was a history teacher before he was a superintendent. And we used to talk a lot. And when this whole thing came down, the culture wars and the trying to end Black history, and he said, just teach facts. I mean, when DeSantis, and we published an article about this. Actually, the Sun Sentinel had an article. DeSantis had a seminar for young teachers. I mean, and this is how they do it. You want to brainwash the kids, but you brainwash the teachers. And the veteran teachers that went to the seminar said that it was all about how slavery wasn't so bad. And how the founders really didn't mean to have a strict wall of separation between church and state. I mean, just blatant, outright lies. And the young teachers who were just starting out, they were paid $700 to attend this seminar, and they're working at every level to get rid of fact-based education. I mean, you can't really argue with facts. There was a Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then there was a massacre. Post-Reconstruction, it was white terrorism that ended up preventing the newly freed former slaves from voting because they were afraid to vote, and it was another 100 years before they were able to vote legally, and then they were still afraid to do it. So anyway, are there any other comments on?
I think your contract is excellent. I think if we keep it simple, if we get too much in there, then, we have to.
Yeah, basically, keep it
Yeah.
simple, 1 or 2 sentences on each subject.
Right, right.
There are a lot of stuff. One might be just stop it, culture war on gay people.
Yeah. And that actually would, when you look at the poll numbers, a lot of their positions are unpopular on abortion. they're unpopular. It's a, you know, it's a hot issue. But the overwhelming, a substantial majority of Americans support abortion. I mean, support Roe v. Wade.
Right.
I mean, it's a compromise.
55% of the women in Florida voted for DeSantis.
Yeah.
55% of the women.
Right.
voted for-
Well, that's voting against your interests.
55%.
Of course, probably most of the women that voted against him, when their daughters, teenage daughters get pregnant, they can pay to get them out of state and have the abortion, you know,
So thinking about that, it's a great way to get rid of poor and blacks. Because they'll leave here and never come back.
right,
And that's what they want.
yeah, well,
Still about racism.
so,
This morning they had, DeSantis signing the bill, can't teach, girls.
Oh, yes. About the
Menstruation in elementary school. Are you serious? He's an idiot.
yeah,
Of course I'm
What?
serious.
yeah,
Menstruation.
yeah.
He's not running Florida. Well, that's what we gotta pull.
Uh,
We gotta
you
pull
know,
that crap out.
When you talk about education, I was stunned. The 15-week abortion ban in Mississippi, that was the beginning of the end of Roe v. Wade. Some people were saying, well, 15 weeks is what they have in Europe. And I said, well, that's bullshit. And I went and looked it up. It's not. In France, it's 15 weeks, you know, but in France, you know, they know well in advance of 15 weeks. They're educated in a way that Americans aren't. 15 weeks in France is like 24 weeks in America. So
We can't be grooming children. We can't be grooming our
yeah.
I just wanted to
Thank
say,
you.
that's a cynical move. I worked with these evangelicals and ultra Christian nationalists, and they really believe what DeSantis is saying. They do not believe the Constitution says separation of church and
Right.
state. They believe it means the church should run the state.
Right,
That's their deep belief.
right,
You're never going to change their mind. Ever.
right,
And
right. No, it's
the same thing with the second amendment, you're not going to change their minds. So the only way to win is to get the independents out of the vote, and I've given up myself.
yeah, no, it's the NPAs that make the difference. And if we run, you know, good campaigns with good people, with good messages, we have, you know, we what Democrats stand for by and large, and you know, when I say Republicans in this state are crazy. You know, I mean, they are. I love that when Biden referred to the Republican Party as, or many of them, as semi-fascist. I was waiting. He didn't go far enough, but I get rid of the semi. It's proto-fascist. But the so-called liberal media backed him. There were these articles that said, well, yeah, that's right. You know, that's what they're trying to do. And in Florida, they have the power to do it, so they're doing it. You know, when they talk about weaponizing government, if only the Democrats weaponized government, if only they used government. You know, if only when Obama was elected, he didn't say we're going to look forward, we're not going to look back. But the people that committed torture, you know, went to jail for it. It would have been less likely that Trump would have come along and done what he did. And at this point, that's why he really needs to be put in a cage. You know, along with Mad Dog Flynn and the rest of them.
Yeah, but I do want to see him fighting, DeSantis.
I know, I know, but he can fight him from jail and make money, while he's doing it. But,
Back here,
uh,
back here.
Right here.
yeah,
Hi, we can't forget the Hispanic voters either. I think we neglected them this last election. That's one of the reasons we lost too. The radio stations in Miami.
Yeah.
Spewing in Spanish lies about Biden being socialist. We didn't address that.
well,
Communist, yeah, and we did not address.
we didn't have an answer for it, and I mean, that's because no one asked me, or no one asked anyone in this room who would have said, hey, stupid, Marco, your mama was a socialist. She was on Social Security. Is that what you're calling socialism?
The radio
Somebody asked me.
stations were spewing the lies to these people, and they were listening to them, and we didn't.
I know that.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me
What are we
why
gonna
we
do?
shouldn't advertise on the Miami Hispanic stations, which appeal largely to Cubans. Cubans vote red.
Yeah.
That's why we don't advertise. Wait, excuse me, let me finish what I'm saying. I've been in the advertising business for half a century. I've done a lot of buying of advertising, and I've done a lot of buying of advertising for political candidates. You do not advertise to people who are, by and large, not listening to you. You advertise to people who are receptive to your message. You do not advertise to Hispanics who are voting Republican. They're going to continue to vote Republican. That's a fact, folks. I've taught it in college. But please don't mind me.
There's plenty of Hispanics who will vote Democrat.
Those who will vote Democrats will vote Democrats.
Yeah. Right. Yeah,
I've been doing this for a long time.
Janet.
I'm doing it longer than you've been alive for.
Yeah.
Think I know what I'm talking.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Republicans have been courting the Hispanics in Miami-Dade for a very long time. They do it slowly, they do it methodically. We did nothing. There is a reason why, for the first time, maybe in my lifetime, maybe I'm incorrect on this, that Miami-Dade went red.
yeah,
It has always been blue.
Yeah.
So what changed this election cycle? More Hispanic, more Cubans moving in? What changed? It was the Republican messaging and we didn't have any. That's
Right.
why.
right. And it was also, I mean, there were a lot of Democrats, and the top of the ticket in Florida was Charlie Crist, who is a decent guy. I mean, and it absolutely disgusted me, the number of Democrats that I'm not going to vote for him. He was a Republican. I mean, and then they don't go out and vote. It's a midterm, and everybody down the ticket suffers, you know, and I mean, how long, you were saying before, Steve, about, gotta stand behind Nikki Fried. We gotta stop, having the perfect be the enemy of the good. You know, we have to stop voting for Barry Commoner, as I did, or Al Gore. I mean, Al Gore, I always say Al Gore. I mean, Ralph Nader. I mean, Ralph Nader was 10 times the guy that Al Gore was, but he's the reason 90,000 people voted in Florida for him. It wouldn't have gone to the Supreme Court if he hadn't. Yeah. Now, Al Gore did not run a good campaign, neither did Hillary Clinton. But, you know, they lost. They lost because a lot of Democrats stayed home or voted third party, you know, and, you know, I mean, that's the message that we gotta get out. Wake up, you know.
But I hear a lot of people saying they're not ready for a woman. And like,
Oh, the glass ceiling, or I remember when my neighbor across the hall in 2008, you know, people said, that America will never elect a black man. Well, you know what? If Hillary had gotten that nomination, Sarah Palin wouldn't have been on the ticket, because John McCain wouldn't have needed to throw a bone to the Neanderthals, because already, people despised Hillary Clinton. And they would have come out, my neighbor across the hall, a nice guy, said, yeah, it doesn't matter who's running, if Hillary's running, I'm voting for the other guy. And McCain probably would have nominated what's his name from Joe Lieberman. And he would have bounced her head like a basketball.
It still is, one of the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
They vilified.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Comey, what he did. Forget what Comey did.
Oh, yeah. No, Comey was number one. Number two was the so-called liberal media. Number three was sexism. Number four was her lousy campaign. I mean, but Comey was number one, because if he hadn't reopened the thing at that point, I think she would have won.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I'm a fan of Hillary. I would go to current events where I used to live. Intelligent, well-educated men would say she's a crook.
Yeah.
But their charity was proven to be A+. It's
Thank
not
you.
true. She's a crook. There
Yeah.
was so much Hillary life, Hillary hate. It started when she moved to Arkansas.
Yes.
And they did it from the minute she got there to the minute she got to the White House. Her president, there was no.
All right. Yeah.
Latino vote. They are not a bloc. I have friends who came from Cuba in about 1963. Big family, only one person in that family voted Democratic. I have a niece came from Cuba. I only vote Republican. My father said all politicians are crooks, so I vote Republican. You can't talk to these people. Cubans are going to vote Republican. Spanish, they're not one.
I was friendly, and then Mary, I was friendly with a Cuban exile up in New York, and in the 80s, we're sitting in another friend's backyard. It's the Eastern Airlines strike. It's not long after Reagan fired the air traffic controllers, and Conrad looks at us and he says, "Thank God for communism." This is a Cuban exile. Thank God for communism. Can you imagine what those bastards would get up to if not for the fear of communism? And that was in the mid-80s, and we found out by the end of the 80s, the Berlin Wall came down, communism was gone, and they just they went crazy. So that's one Cuban who didn't vote Republican.
But it's not only Cubans, there's a lot of South Americans as well here, the population is growing. It's not just Cubans, it's everybody.
Yes.
I wonder what the tests are like for becoming a citizen. Because Janet and I, we know people who were from Poland and from Russia, what they're used to from their youth is what we have right now. They don't see anything wrong with what's going on now.
No,
But before you vote, you take a test. These people don't know a damn thing about this stuff. They really don't.
well, becoming a citizen though is I remember we had a speaker who was Canadian, Christine Campbell. She was with the League of Women Voters, and she said that the citizenship test was not a simple thing, so anyway, Mary.
Yeah, I was watching Kamala Harris on Stephen Colbert, and he had her on for over half an hour. That woman is capable. She is brilliant. Brilliant. Just give her a chance. And I hear people say all the time, oh, she doesn't say anything, she just grins. No, she was factual, everything he asked her, I'm like, she could run it. The only way she's gonna get in if something happens to ride.
Yeah, well, we don't have a choice you know, we don't have a choice. It's Biden and Harris, you know, and Biden has done, in my view, just a remarkable job, given the,
I think so, too. Brilliant.
all right, I think we're winding down here. Seth,
That's not gonna happen.
yeah, you did.
What?
So, just saying hi. Good to-
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just listening in.
Yeah.
Nice having.
So,
Meeting a while back and a state rep came,
who?
a state rep, I don't remember his name. kind of-
Oh, Joe Casello. Joe was gonna try to come tonight, but
And
he,
they talked, and I don't need to be critical because I don't know, but what he was pushing was, we're gonna elect Democrats, and I'll work with you on this, but I don't know what he. You know, he could lead us. We were saying, give us some direction, give us whatever. Is he around?
all right, I think,
Okay.
8:38. We've heard a lot tonight, so,
One more thing.
yeah, Jack.
You know, the Kings Point Democratic Club, we meet the third Sunday. I'm not pushing it because I love this club too. But we're having Fred Guttenberg speak
Yeah.
April 16th. If you want to come, we must have RSVPs. So if you want to sign with your name and phone number, because we will be calling to remind everybody, because we expect a huge crowd. Fred Guttenberg, well, we don't.
They have a couple of times.
It's, yeah, we had Fred speak that one time, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So,
All right, it was bye.
yeah, I think we're winding down. Thanks, everybody. Hi, Marty, Audrey.
We need to get Shirley.
What?
You look at our people, we need to get Shirley, because she's through at the end of the month.
I know, yeah.
And she's
Okay.
gonna take some time off, but
Okay.
I think she might be able.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you. What?
Good night, great meeting. Thank you.